Okay, here is day 2 of the screen printing process. Today we're going to use the exposure unit right here to expose our screen, and we're going to wash it out in the sink, and then we'll let it dry overnight. So things I need for this is my transparency. Also, I need to get my screen out of the light-proof cabinet. So I have my screen. What I'm going to do next is look at the back of my screen. It's the lighter shade of pink right here. What I have to do is peel the back layer off. We still need to do these steps fairly quickly because the screen is still out in the open. It's still light sensitive, so we don't want to have it exposed too long. So I peeled the back of the screen, and I'm getting ready to expose my screen in the exposure unit. So I gotta grab my transparency. Next, I'm gonna go to the exposure unit. I'm gonna lift this up. I want to place my transparency in the middle of the glass table. Then I'm going to put my screen over top of it, and I want to get my design centered as best as possible on the table here. So I want to have it centered within my easy film here. I want to have it parallel. With the bars, the top and bottom bars of my screen as well. Also inside here is a wire. This wire helps vacuum seal our screen. So I peeled the back, I got everything set up, I got the wire. I'm going to go half on the screen and the other half off. So I'm going to close this up. I have to latch the latches. Ooh. And then look at my screen here. What it's telling me is that I'm going to have exposure time of 40 seconds, or a vacuum time of 40 seconds, excuse me. An exposure time of 142 seconds. And I have options. I could save this setting, I could recall different settings. I have saved ones in here, but I'm just going to hit start. So it's going to show me that it's vacuuming. It will start to count down from 40 seconds. When that's over, it will go to the exposure. I'll be able to see the lights on from the glass, and it will give me a countdown from 142 seconds. So as this goes on, you'll be able to see that the rubber mat top is starting to come down and starting to form around my frame. The rest of the time, I'll be waiting around. I have to wait for this to go through. So to kill the time, about halfway through the exposure, maybe I'll go turn on the sink, because we're going to have to rinse out our design with lukewarm water, because light's going to come from the bottom of this table. It's going to shine up through our transparency, and where our design is in all black on that transparency, it will kind of burn itself on the pink easy film, and then it washes out with water. If we don't peel the back like I did in the beginning, our design will not have nice clean straight edges on it. It will have fuzzy edges. So we want to make sure we peel that back first, and we're going to put it in here, make sure it's centered in there. We have a little wiggle room in case it's not totally centered when we get it onto the t-shirt press tomorrow. But then, turn on the water, just kind of stand around and wait. Not much else we can do. To kill time while I'm exposing, I come over here to the sink, turn on the hot water, let it warm up a bit, because I'm going to have lukewarm water to wash out my screen. So I can do that, let it run, don't have to turn the water up all the way. We don't want it splashing all over the floor, but we'll be able to just get the water to warm up a bit while we wait. Alright, my screen is done exposing. The light is turned off. I'm going to unlock the two sides here. Lift my top. And take my screen out. I'll leave that little wire in here. So then I can take my transparency, peeled off the back here because it's kind of stuck to it. I'm going to throw it back in my drawer because I'm done with it for today. I don't need it the rest of the day. What I'm going to do next is grab my screen and bring it to the sink. So I'm going to turn my screen sideways, lay it down in here. Next I'm going to grab the hose. Going to crank up the water and adjust this so it's lukewarm. It's a little bit too warm. I'm going to bring up the cold. Next what I'm going to do is just spray off the screen. So it's going to be kind of loud, so I'm not going to speak. But as I spray, you'll be able to see that the design I have is starting to come through on the screen, and it will wash out. Alright, so the key is to constantly move the water around. Don't stay in one spot too long. Now I need to check my screen. I have to make sure that it looks good. I have nice straight edges. There's no fibers from the easy film hanging anywhere. It looks like I washed this one out pretty darn good. If there was maybe some fibers hanging in the back of the screen, I could have moved them down with my finger from the back. If not, just wash it again, but this looks pretty good. So I'm just going to let it sit here in the sink overnight to dry, and that's all I could do for this step.